Hey everyone, in this video I'm going to do an interesting comparison. I'm going to answer which one is the best stock to buy, Carnival Cruise Line or ZIM Integrated Shipping Services. Which one is the better stock to buy? The one that uses ships to move people around or the one that uses ships to move things around? That's an interesting thought here now that consumer behavior has changed so dramatically in the last 3 years. So let's get right into it. Look at the revenue here from the last 3 years. It's kind of opposites here where ZIM absolutely thrived during the earlier stages of the pandemic when people were stuck at home and they were buying a lot of things that needed to be imported. Consequently, that's changed now that economies reopened and people are more interested in doing things away from home, things like traveling, things like going on cruise ships, right? And now Carnival is exploding. Look at that revenue explosion for Carnival, exploding from close to zero all the way up to 4.4 billion in revenue in its most recent quarter. And I wouldn't be surprised if this upcoming summer travel season is one of the best in Carnival's history, the way consumers are unleashing pent-up demand for travel right now. But let's look at the profit margins here. If we look at the operating profit margins over the trailing 12 months, even though Carnival's revenue have been thriving, it hasn't been enough to boost its operating profit margin into positive territory. It's still negative 20% in the most recent quarter. And even though ZIM's revenue have been falling, its operating profit margin over the trailing 12 months was still a healthy 37.57%. I would not be surprised, however, if this turns negative over the next couple of quarters because ZIM's bottom line has turned negative in the most recent quarter. So they are going in opposite directions here, with Carnival's profitability improving, with ZIM's profitability moving in the wrong direction. Similarly, let's look at the cash flow from operations. You see here Carnival going from negative nearly 3 billion in cash flow from operations, improving it, getting it into positive territory, 388 million in its most recent quarter. Meanwhile, ZIM exploded up to nearly 2 billion in cash flow from operations during the peak times in late 2021. That has collapsed all the way down to 173 million in its most recent quarter. I would not be surprised if this too turns closer to zero or negative over the next few quarters as ZIM's customer demand remains pressured in the near term. Finally, let's look at valuation, and I chose to use the forward price to sales ratio to compare these two. Now, it's really hard to choose a valuation metric because each of these companies' businesses have been so volatile in the last 3 years, moving up and down violently. But I chose to use the forward price to sales ratio to compare these two. And looking at this metric, Carnival is nearly 3 times more expensive than ZIM, trading at a forward price to sales of 0.889, while ZIM trading at a forward price to sales of 0.252. Both of these stocks are down considerably off their peak valuations earlier in 2022. However, if I had to pick one of these two stocks to buy right now, I would pick Carnival. I would pick Carnival Cruise. I see customer data, consumer data, macroeconomic data continues coming out, showing just how strong the rebound in travel has been so far in 2023 and just how much more room there is to go, considering we still not recovered completely from the spending levels from 2019. So revenue in travel is growing, and it's growing fast, and there's a lot more room to go before it recovers from where it was during the pandemic, before the outbreak ever happened. So I'm bullish on travel, and for mostly that reason, I would pick Carnival over ZIM as the better stock to buy right now. All right, but that's all I've got for this video. Thank you so much for watching. I want to thank the Motley Fool for sponsoring this video. Visit fool.com/Parkev for the 10 best stocks to buy now.